So when we think about policy and the fact that policy matters, whether it's the economy, we've talked a lot about energy, of course. I had told you about this week that we will see Biggity Big's CEOs from Nippon Steel coming here to Pennsylvania to visit with some of these steel workers here as they try to buy out, of course, U.S. Steel. That's a major story that has international ramifications, something that, Trump has promised that American U.S. Steel remains in the United States of America. But let's bring in our friend who's just a policy genius over at the Commonwealth Foundation. This is André Béliveau. André, good morning. Good to have you here.
Hey, good morning, Dawn. Thanks for having me. I apologize if I sound a little groggy. I have a bit of a cold this morning. I was told that we would get sick of all of this winning, but I didn't think that would actually translate into an actual cold. But thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. We've talked so much, and obviously you're senior manager of among many different titles of energy policy at the Commonwealth Foundation, which is Pennsylvania's free market think tank. And so I'll begin there because I had talked about that as a business story, thinking about what's going on with U.S. Steel. We talk about fracking and what that means with regard to jobs, with the regulations. So as you look at these different cabinet picks, you look at Doug Burgum, and they're being named, and I think it feels like warp speed. But what's your take as far as the policy changes that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I think based on who Trump has appointed so far, whether it's Lee Zeldin at EPA, Doug Burgum at the Department of the Interior, and now Chris Wright at Department of Energy, and with Chris Wright and Doug Burgum leading this new National Energy Council that President Trump wants to establish, I think he's obviously clearly interested on delivering on his message that he gave to voters on delivering on American energy dominance. And when we look at these three appointments in particular and the issues that matter to Pennsylvanians from the federal level, and of course, Pennsylvania has an outsized advantage. We're the largest net energy exporter in the country, and the PJM region, so the 13 states around the Pennsylvania region and the District of Columbia, we all get our power from the same grid operator. The majority of that power comes from Pennsylvania power producers. And of course, we're the second largest producer of natural gas in the country. What happens at the federal level impacts Pennsylvania's economy directly and Pennsylvania energy sector jobs. And I think with these appointments, I'm very encouraged with the people that are put in place there. These are people who understand that we need to roll back on some of these draconian policies that have come out of the Biden-Harris EPA trying to cap our energy production with oil and gas and coal. We need a rollback of this LNG pause that came about. We certainly need reform with these IRA green energy boondoggles and the subsidies that come from that. So all these things, I believe, will have a positive impact. These will be national level issues that have direct impact on Pennsylvanians. So I'm really encouraged by the appointments we have so far. These are three individuals who believe in American energy dominance, who have a belief in energy abundance rather than climate alarmism that leads to energy poverty and scarcity. So if you care about Pennsylvania's energy economy so far, I think these are excellent choices.
And when we think about what's going on in the breaking news this morning, learning that the United States officials ordered our embassies overseas, specifically in Kyiv, in Ukraine, in Italy, and Greece, ordered them closed. And the escalation, the possible escalation that is being reported more so in Europe and Germany and across Europe, but the possible escalation of Russia and World War III is one of the headlines. That's one of the fears. But what's your take on this with regard to Russia, the escalation that we've seen, and then the involvement we know of with regard to the North Koreans? It was reported, was that a week or two ago, that some 5,000 North Koreans were brought in to beef up the patrols and troops in Russia.
Right. Well, I mean, there's never been a more important time to really take energy independence and security seriously. I mean, we need to ensure that our energy grids across the country are secure and reliable, and that translates into affordable power for Americans. And of course, a reliable grid means an affordable grid. So we really need to be ensuring that we have policies that make sure we are securing American energy independence, that our grids are secure. That also means that we need policies that are going to allow American energy production to flourish so that we not only have the oil and gas and coal supplies that we need to keep our grids online and to keep our economy flowing, but we also need to be making sure that we get rid of something like this LNG pause, and that reliable, clean, secure, American-made energy can go to our geopolitical allies abroad to help them to be able to defeat Russia and to be able to defeat all of these enemies of the West that we have. So, which is why I think this is so important. All these things are connected, and which is why I'm really encouraged that we are going to hopefully see the policy trends shift away from climate alarmism, away from energy scarcity, towards abundance and security. That was certainly what President Trump ran on. Our polling at the Commonwealth Foundation showed that Pennsylvanians wanted to prioritize energy affordability and energy security over, spending $1 more for some of these green energy or net zero boondoggles. So I'm really encouraged. I think the policy landscape is going to change. It's going to change in the way that voters across the country have set a mandate for, and there's not a greater time than right now because of things that are happening overseas and also the rise of inflation in the United States. There's good foreign policy and domestic policy reasons for us to have an energy abundance agenda. And again, all signals are pointing that that's where we're headed.
Yeah, I know you mentioned LNG, which is the liquefied natural gas. Biden administration is that so? I can't assume everybody knows the lingo when we're talking about this, André Béliveau. But the Biden administration did ask the Federal Appeals Court to set aside an order for the U.S. Department of Energy to lift its quote pause on issuing that liquefied natural gas, the export approvals, arguing that a challenge by Republican-led states against the permitting suspension should also be dismissed for lack of jurisdiction. That was just right around Election Day, quite frankly. So where do we stand with that? Because it's the U.S. Court of Appeal. I know this is going back and forth, and I know that was a very long, wordy sentence I was just trying to jam in there. But what does that mean to the average American?
Right. So I guess the too long didn't read on that right now is that LNG or liquefied natural gas, the ability to have more leases and expand on that was paused by the Biden-Harris administration. President-elect Trump has said that on day one, when he takes office, he will reverse that executive order, which he should do, and that'll be really great. But that's also only phase one of this Dawn. There's so many other elements of just draconian regulatory policies, particularly in Pennsylvania, where we not only have to deal with federal permitting issues, but we're also up against a really outdated and untransparent permitting regime in Pennsylvania. Governor Shapiro has promised that he wants to do serious regulatory reform. Seems he's put out some kind of a wishy-washy proposal just this week on permitting reform. But we need to hold Governor Shapiro accountable to his promises. He has promised permitting reform. That includes things like LNG. That includes energy and environmental projects. We need to get serious about permitting reform in Pennsylvania, in Harrisburg, if we want to be able to reap the benefits that are going to come from President Trump reversing the Biden-Harris LNG pause. So that's one piece of the puzzle. It's certainly a big one. I think President Trump will reverse that on day one, but there's a lot more work to do, particularly at the state level in Pennsylvania, to make sure that we can get the benefits from that, and that Pennsylvanians actually feel that economic benefit that will come from Pennsylvania being able to expand into the LNG markets.
And then when you look at policy, and I'll take you here, I'll do a little turn, Andre, with yesterday. I don't know if you saw this when President-elect Trump actually flew to Texas to watch this. I thought it was historic. It was incredible with Elon Musk, this heavy rocket that they were launching. It was just back in the day, that would have been something that everybody would have gathered around and, as a nation, we would have watched together. It just shows you how busy everybody is. But it was pretty incredible. And I think of Elon Musk, his innovation, his belief that we need to explore beyond our planet even. And then I couldn't help but think as well, because we're thinking about innovation, I couldn't help but think as we were looking at what was going on with Russia, Biden changing and loosening up some rules to allow Ukraine to do more. And it really brought me to a place where I thought, man, you think back to Reagan, Strategic Defense Initiative, a Star Wars program, but does somebody like Elon Musk and his influence on a future administration bring those kinds of things, a missile defense system for our country, alive?
Yeah, I mean, I think watching what Elon Musk has been able to do with SpaceX and everything else, I mean, really shows, at the heart of the Commonwealth Foundation's mission, we believe in, market-driven solutions. We believe in free markets and free people, and that, government should get out of the way as much as possible to be able to allow market and various industries to innovate and to allow, so that way all Pennsylvanians and all Americans can flourish. And I really think what Elon has done, again, with SpaceX and with other ventures, he's certainly shown that what private industry can do through innovation. And if that translates into how the Trump administration wants to handle public policy, embracing free markets, embracing deregulation and allowing industry to thrive with innovation, I think that will certainly have positive impacts, not only in things like space exploration, but also with energy, also in commerce more broadly. And the more we can do to unlock the untapped potential we have in the various states, and especially in energy producing states like Pennsylvania, where we can really unlock our full economic potential, I think that's going to be great. And hopefully we see that across the spectrum and all of the policy areas that are touched by, that are going to be touched by the federal government. And hopefully we'll see that translated in state government as well.
André Béliveau, with the senior manager of energy policy, among other things, at the Commonwealth Foundation. Well, I hope that your cold that you heal quickly and get better soon. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Dawn.